So it's evening, it's dark outside, but I do have my lights, so we're working in the van. I've done a couple of things off camera just because it's been cold and very, very snowy, and I didn't have it in me to put up the camera each time. So we have a nice edge along. I know the corner isn't perfect, but we do have a nice edge along here, all the way up into the front here. This one is hitting the van and also pushing down the glue in that corner because it wasn't completely perfect there. I've cut around the window. I still have some leftover from the sticky stuff that was on the window, so I need to do a cleaning, and some like leftover pieces of felt that are drooping off here. So some cleaning to do. The bed frame is here. I asked IKEA because I'm using the very classical Skorva as the middle beam here because I don't want the top bed to somehow manage to break and people falling on the people below. So I asked them if I could get 2 of the mounting brackets for Skorva, and they said yes, and so I'm waiting for that. It's coming in the mail, so I can't finish the top bunk yet, but that's okay because I want to paint this one as well that I added. I've had some issues with the mat below here. I've tried 2 kinds of tape, double-sided tape, and none of them stick to the carpet, which is really annoying. So I'm gonna have to go find some really, really heavy-duty stuff because it's curling up in the edges, and that's annoying. So either I'm going to have to find something very heavy to get it flat, or better tape. Those are what we used to have on the kids' beds in their tiny bunks in the old bed. I just stained them to match the bed. I tried putting them up back here, but when I did, I ran into the issue because this bed frame is a lot taller than their old, or a lot thicker. So with the mattress on top, it basically becomes nothing. So I'm gonna see if we can still use them, but we're going to have to do something to add some height to them instead. I'm waiting for hopefully arriving tomorrow. I'm waiting for some iron-on trim here, and I'm gonna use some here as well. Today we are fixing both the paint back there. Hopefully I can muster up some energy to start on the kitchen. We'll see. But the main task at hand is this, because it does not want to stick. I'm guessing it's the temperature, because it was not an issue as long as the heating was on. So we are trying to glue it on. If that doesn't work, I'm just pulling it down and using a wallpaper I have indoors. But it would be a shame because I think it's really pretty. So let's get to it. Okay, so this was an experience putting this in. I'm gonna have to vacuum the entire van. I'll show you. Of the few furniture at IKEA that isn't made from cardboard. Yeah, my pants are also completely covered. I was contemplating screwing this in place in the floor and walls before putting in the sink. Happy I didn't do that since I will be having a space between here and there's a lot to clean. So when I bought this, I took the measurements. It was actually from Amazon, and they were having a sale for this model. Otherwise I would have just used the old sink, but I liked that we could close it off and put things on top. The ad kind of tricked me. It looked like it was coming with a tap. It does not. It comes with a hole for a tap only. And the measurements were also kind of off in real life, as opposite to what the ad said, or the listing said. So this is slightly too big, you can probably tell. But since we're going to have a space between the window and the kitchen, and I'm building a storage box to go back there, it works out anyway. But this was not difficult to cut, and the hole is not pretty. This is not a pretty opening. Luckily you can't see it. Very happy though that I actually put in the shelf for the water before, because the cooler is down here. I just put in the sliding shelf for it, so it didn't get as much sawdust on it. So now I am going to screw this into place. I'm gonna clean up a bit, and then I'm going to see if I can find my folding sink, because I have a folding sink, and see if it fits in here, or if I need to spend more money to get one that actually fits in this one. So I know different countries have different rules for camper van conversions. In Sweden you need to register your camper van as a camper van if it has a permanent camping interior, because when you do the yearly checkup on your car, you need to be able to take everything out if it's not a camper van. If you do want to register it as a camper van, we have some very set rules. You need to have a kitchen, or not a kitchen per se. You need to have a place to store food, it says in the papers, which the inspectors have decided means you need to have a fridge. However, if you have the compressor boxes, they are usually fine. I got mine approved. Ours is a camper van, but since I'm adding a seat back in, I need to re-register my van, and I want to make sure that I have actually rebuilt the entire van. I want to make sure that I still follow all of the demands in case they have an opinion on this check-in. So you need to have a place to store food that you can't take out of the van. So you can't just put a cooler in your van and say I have a place to store food. So that's why we have this compressor box, compressor cooler, that slides out. I'm going to mount it to that shelf, and that makes it permanent. Then you need to be able to cook your food, and it needs to be mounted to the car. You're not allowed to just use a hot plate or something. So the solution for that in the last van was this. It's attached to this board, and then we just hung it by the kitchen so you could fold it up and fold it down. And as soon as the van was approved, we changed that out for this cutting board that just extended the kitchen instead. Mainly we cook outside. I don't think we actually ever cooked in the van. We have cooked right by the side steps here, but that was on our spare. We have an induction plate we use if we are on electric, if we can hook up the van. This is an IKEA board. It's bamboo, and it got really messed up last year, and I also don't think it fits this kitchen, so we got a new one, also IKEA of course. So what I do now, because I don't know if I could get, if there is a risk that they won't sign off on the registration if I'm not complying, so I'm mounting this one, and as soon as we're done with the registration, I'm switching it out. The other thing you need is you need a place where you can sit and eat. And usually, you know, you have the sofa that can become a bed or so on. And then you also need a table that is mounted to the van that you can't remove, so you can't just have a folding table. So that I'm solving by putting a lagoon mount here. And of course we can use these seats to sit and eat. That's why I rebuilt the van like this. Then you need sleeping arrangements or beds for the amount of passengers you can have, which becomes a bit tricky because now I can technically have 4 passengers because I have my driver's seat as well. In the old van we had one bed that was 120 centimeters and 2 small kids beds that were hanging above our feet, and he approved those because he said that it also says that it should be in relation to your needs, and we had kids, so we had enough space for kid beds. So these beds are bigger. This is 2 140 centimeter wide beds, so I'm just gonna have to argue that 3 kids fit easily in a 140 centimeter wide bed, because that's what they will be. They will be deciding based on 5 people in the van, not 4 like we actually are. And bathroom is not a requirement. So place to sleep for every passenger, or for every person that fits in the van, place to eat, table you can't remove, stove you can't remove, and a place to store food you can't remove. And the one I always forget, because it kind of just happens, is a place to store clothes. And we have plenty of places to store clothes, so that's not an issue. And we do have one that's actually mounted to the van in case they have any opinion about baskets and so on. This is to deter people because it's cheaper with the yearly tax for camper vans, so that's just to deter people from re-registering their work vans as camper vans, and by just throwing in some folding chairs and a mattress essentially. So let's fix this. So as you could probably tell, I didn't actually install the gas stove here, because when I did try it out, it came very close to this, and I think there's a bigger chance of missing the registration if it actually looks like a fire hazard. So I put this one in instead, so you can make your kitchen a bit longer and work, and you can actually access this a bit from halfway outside as well. So I'm gonna have to figure out the stove part. Okay, so this is kind of on the fly. It's March 2nd today, and I went down to get the van re-registered since we added a seat, and to do the annual checkup on it, because we need to have a permit since this is a natural gas powered car. I had a bit of a traumatic experience. First of all, I was a bit worried that we actually would live up to all the demands that you need. Since we rebuilt it so much, I needed to have everything approved once again. And on the way there, it's a 40-minute drive, the yellow check engine light went on, and my dad had just boarded a plane. I called my dad's friend, so he helped me out, calm me down a bit. So I thought, okay, but at least maybe the registration can pull through, so I can actually have it registered with the correct amount of seats and everything's fine. And then if I need to redo the checkup, I can do that later on, worst case. Well, it turned out, since this is a specialty vehicle because of the natural gas tanks, they don't care about the check engine light. So I don't understand why, but they don't. So, with the biggest feeling of relief in my, not entire life, but the biggest feeling of relief for this build, this van is officially registered as a camper van with 4 passengers and approved to drive for the next coming year. other than like minor fixes, one safety fix and minor things that are just good, nice to have, not need to have, we are ready. Just gotta dry out the water out of my engine, hopefully get rid of that check engine light warning, and then we can go. Looking forward to it. So if you've been tagging along for this, once we are completely outfitted and ready to go for our first trip, I will take you on a small tour just to see where everything fits and how it works in reality. But until then, I'm going to switch over to gardening, which is very well timed because, let me show you, snow is gone. We don't have any snow and we have like 7 degrees Celsius or something. So it's time for greenhouse. Finally. Thank you for tagging along this project. I will give you an updated tour once we are equipped for the season. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.